what do you think needs to happen differently in leadership prep programs? Because again, I don't know what your experience is, but I almost feel like the norm is like bad leadership, right? Like finding like good leadership, good leaders like that are practicing the approach that you did is hard to find. And I don't think, my guess is somehow if a behavior analyst will go to back in your history, your mom, your family, your upbringing, right? Your history led you to be a collaborative person, a person that doesn't have ego, a person that loves seeing other people achieve, right? That's a big reinforcer for you to involve people. And so getting people to engage in behavior similar to what you were doing, what needs to occur differently to help the leaders be that way?
I think it's twofold. Number one is because I work in education, like higher ed, and so I make sure, and I still with my students who are getting their principal licenses, it's that real world, tangible, like this is what you do in these situations. I think a lot of programs, they're very theoretical, and which is important. It's important to understand the why, but like, how do you use it? And that's the bigger piece. And so I give them these situations that are real because I lived them. And I'm like, how would you deal with that? And we have the conversations, and I don't tell them all the time that this is real. Afterwards, I say, this is actually something that happened to me. And they're looking at me going like, oh my goodness, like, I can't believe you had to deal with that as a principal. I'm like, oh, that's just one story. Like, but this is how, again, this is what we're learning about. This is how you actually take care of it. That's one piece. It's actually preparing school leaders for the real world. The other piece has to do with district leadership, because I do work with a lot of principals who, again, everything's a mandate, and they're very scared to go against what like a director or an assistant soup is saying, because it gets really political in certain districts. The higher up you go, we need to have those conversations again about what's in the best interest of kids. I got very good at doing my own thing at my school because that was in the best interest of kids. I got my hand slapped a few times. I'm not saying go out and get your hand slapped.
The good leaders I've heard do that. They do what's right.
I was okay with it because then I could go back, and when I got the phone call and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, let me explain what I'm doing, and let me tell you how it's working, and let me give you some evidence that it's working. And then they all backed off because they're like, okay. And it works. And so, and again, it was collaborative. So I knew, and I would tell my teachers, I'm going to get a call from downtown about this. And they're like, we got your back. And I'm like, good, I got your back too. And we were good. I'm like, they're not going to fire all of us. And I can show that not only are kids learning at higher levels, our attendance rates are going up, our discipline rates are going down. Why would you stop any of that work? And I can show all this data. And so district offices and everyone who was at a district office, by and large, for the most part, were teachers and principals at some point. But something gets lost because they are dealing with massive amounts of political and economic pressures. But we've got to be able to have that conversation about getting back down to that kid who sits in the third row of like a fourth grade classroom. It's that kid. What's that kid's best interest? That's what we need to focus on. Other things like that all can wait here. Let's bring it back down to the kid level. And I think that would make a lot of change.
Okay. So you said a lot of great things, man. It's funny. I've seen such the commonalities between, those who are great leaders and those who have some work to do.